Hello and welcome to our Ranorex webinar, Mastering Azure DevOps Integration. My name is Andreas Außerhofer, and it's a pleasure to be your host today. Let's start with a short introduction and a few facts. The target audience for today's webinar is supposed to be at practitioner's level, which means users having a basic knowledge and at least a little experience of working with Ranorex Studio. Don't worry, there's no need for any preparation. The webinar itself is being recorded and it will be available for you offline afterwards. The duration of today's webinar will be approximately 1 hour. And I would like to start by telling you what is our program for today, so what we will learn today, what will I show you. First of all, I would like to reach a common understanding between us and show you a few key facts about Ranorex Studio and Azure DevOps so that we are sure to talk about the same thing. Afterwards, we will be creating an Azure DevOps project, and we will sync it to a created Ranorex desktop test solution. Afterwards, I will show you how to define a simple Azure DevOps pipeline. We will download and install and configure an Azure agent, which helps us to perform the designated test actions and building actions. And finally, we will be building and running a Ranorex solution out of Azure DevOps. In short words, we will be using Azure DevOps as CI tool today. And at the end, we will have a closer look at the Ranorex reporting within Azure DevOps. And I will show you how to automatically trigger a CI pipeline within Azure DevOps so that every change in your Ranorex solution automatically triggers a new CI pipeline run. Additional topics along the way will be using Git and Git Bash. So this will be something which we'll be using for today. So let's see if this is everything. Yes, so let's start into the first topic. Most of you already know what Ranorex Studio is. Just to recap, it's an all-in-one tool for test automation. So we have some GUI testing and functional testing. It's easy for beginners as well as it is powerful for experts when using, codes and user code for building tests. And it's built for cross-functional teams and on multi-platform. So this is what Ranorex Studio is. But what is Ranorex Studio is not is the more important question with respect to Azure DevOps. And of course, Ranorex Studio is not a test management system. This is something which is covered, for example, by TestRail. It's not a CI system, so it's not for continuous integration. It does not cover this business model, and this is where we use Azure DevOps for today. And of course, it's not a version control system. This is what Git is for, and this is also what we are showing today. And I would like to show you what I do along a very simple slide, which I present you now within just only 1 minute. So first of all, we will be creating an Azure DevOps project, and we will sync it through the repos functionality and through Git to a local folder. Afterwards, we will be creating a Ranorex Studio test solution, and we also will sync it through Git to the same local folder, which assures us that the Ranorex Studio solution is now synced within the Azure DevOps CI systems. Afterwards, we are using the pipelines function to define a pipeline and to configure it with all the necessary steps of just building a solution and executing the solution from command line and so on and so forth. And then we will download and install and configure an Azure agent, and we will run our Ranorex test solution through Azure DevOps, which simplified means Azure is compiling, building, and executing the Ranorex test solution. And this is what I'm gonna show you today. So let me see. Yeah, the final slide is what you should have prepared to, or what I have prepared to show you is, of course, I have installed Ranorex Studio in its current version 9.1. I have installed Git and some version of Microsoft Visual Studio. I have 2019, but it doesn't matter if you have 2017 or a previous version. And of course, you need to have an Azure DevOps account, which can be retrieved at dev.azure.com. So this is what I have installed. And yeah, by means of this recorded session for today, you should be able to execute the same example here. I'm rather doing a very straightforward example and not a very complicated one. It's a very straightforward example. And based on this simple example, you can yes, experiment with different configurations within Azure DevOps and yes, come to your individual solution. So this is what we're gonna do. So the first point, our common understanding and some key facts I already have told you, and now we will be creating an Azure DevOps project. So what I have prepared is I'm logged in into the into my Azure DevOps account, and now I'm creating a project here. So I'm calling it Rx Database, and it should be a project for let's call it development and test of a database within the demo application. You already know, or you might know, our demo application, and we will perform here. I will just show you right in a second. We have this demo application. I have prepared it in the downloads folder, and we will do a simple recording of a database test here, and this is what we use for explanation purpose. And we are creating a private project, and within the advanced options, we are assuring that it's version controlled by Git. So you could choose the Team Foundation version control or Git. We're using Git, and we create the project. So this is what we're gonna do first. And yeah, we have the project now. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna sync this project. We clone it and sync it down to a local folder. So this is what we're gonna do. And I'm creating here a folder now. So let's create I'm doing the whole project now from the scratch, so there's nothing prepared. So I'm using a new folder name. It's called My Projects. Oh, yes. If it's more than one, it's projects, of course. Yes, and then we are searching for the repos item. And now here, once you click in here and you haven't synced the project to any target destination, you could clone it to your computer. You can push it to an existing repository or import it and everything you have at hand here. And we will simply clone it to our computer now. So this is the destination where we would like to clone it to. And yes, what I do now is I step into my folder here and I open the bash command line terminal in here. And what I do now here is I simply clone it. So I type in git clone, and now I need to copy the destination here, the folder destination. So I simply could copy the URL in here, and I simply could paste it into here. And this is what I return now. And now it's cloning my Azure DevOps, my created empty Azure DevOps project to my local folder, My Projects. And there's a small warning here telling us that we have appeared to clone an empty repository. That's clear because in here nothing has yet been filled in here, so it's an empty project here. So this is what I have done. Now I close my Git bash, and what I do now is a second preparation step is I install the so-called git ignore file. So everybody of you who has already worked with Git or some version control knows that knows about this git ignore file, and I have it here in my downloads folder. I have prepared a git ignore file, and I copied into my project folder here. And just to explain you very shortly is, here we go. The git ignore file is yes, a normal text file, and it includes all the file endings and file types which are to be ignored by Azure DevOps. As you might know, as I already have told you, Azure DevOps does not store any executable files, no exe files, no temporary files. It builds everything on its own, and it doesn't need any exe files or command files. And in here we have all the files and file types which are to be ignored, which are not synced from Ranorex, from the Ranorex solution folder into the Azure DevOps. And this is why we need to, yes, commit this ignore file now. So what I do now is I do a first commit here. So I open the git bash from within the projects folder now. And what I do here, of course, is now I need to add first my git ignore. So I add it, then I commit it. So I do a first commit, and I call it initial git ignore commit. So I have committed it, and finally I need to push it, of course. So let's push it into our repository, and now it's pushing our git ignore into the repository. I could close this now, and once I open up the Azure DevOps account and do a refresh, then I can see that my project folder is now visible within the repos, and my git ignore file is also synced within here now. So this gives me the opportunity to tell you that we have done the first two steps. So first of all, we talked about this common understanding, and now we created an Azure DevOps project. And now it's time to create a small Ranorex desktop test solution and to prepare it to be synced with Azure DevOps. So this is what we're going to do now. So I minimize this, and now I'm creating a Ranorex solution. I have already opened my Ranorex Studio in its current version 9.1. Let's make it a little bit larger here. And let's create a new solution via the Rocket Start Solution Wizard. I'm choosing a desktop solution. And what I do now is I'm now changing the name to Ranorex Database Test. And I'm changing the location now. I'm not using the predefined location here. I'm changing the location to the previously created my desktop project. So once I use the spotlight here, so I'm using it to this location here. So within here we have our projects folder. So this is the project folder which has been synced from within Azure DevOps, and this will be our Ranorex projects folder too. So this is where I sync it to now. So here we go, my project and RX database. This is my projects, my solution folder. And I will open up the additional options and add my solution to source control. So this is where I use Git to be used as version control, and I continue now. Now I'm browsing for my application, which is the demo application in the downloads folder. And I continue here. I select the recording behavior, the whitelisting to be focused on the single application, click continue, and finally click finish. And what opens up now is my the so-called Ranorex Magic Merger configuration, which assures the correct configuration of Git as a version control system. So it's already offering me Git as the source control, and I use this magic merger to yes, act as a watcher for as a merging tool. I save and proceed now, and I'm using Git, not Subversion, and not the Team Foundation server. So I select Git, and finally everything is prepared, just as you already know it from any other Ranorex desktop solution. So what I have now is just a very simple reminders. Here we have our project file path. Here we have the test suite with the default test structure, the test case structure, and of course we have our application under test in here. And what I do now here is just a simple rename this test case to database counter test. I step into the recording, and what I do now is I record a very small and simple test case. So I click on the record button. I will simply record it. So I'm clicking the test database. I'm inserting a name. So it's my John Public, and let's say he's from the sales department. He's yes, let's say 48 years old, and he's of male gender. So that's how I add it to my database. And now let's do a simple validation here to validate if the counter of the database has been increased from 0 to 1. So I simply select and confirm the validation, and finally stop the recording. So this is what I have done now. Let's see if all the actions have been recorded correctly. So we have a mouse click into the register. We have the first name. We have insertion of the second name. We are opening the department and choosing the sales department. We are stepping into the age department. We are deleting everything and inserting 48. Finally, we are selecting the gender, inserting or adding the entry, and validating. So it seems to be fine. So just a small test if it's really working. So we would like to work with a functional, with a well-working test case. So simply click the run button to see if our recording is working without any failure. So we're waiting for Ranorex to open up the debug information and our application under test. So let's see, the application is starting now. So we are choosing the test database, inserting the first name, the last name, choosing the sales department. Yes, here we go. Then inserting the age, selecting the male, adding, validating, and finally ending up in a report, in a success report, which includes the validation of the counter here. So everything seems to be working fine, and this is our solution, which we will now sync to Azure DevOps, and this is what I'm gonna show you in the next step. So I have recorded the test now, and now we need to commit it into our Git repository, which is our project folder here. So here we have the solution. We have the folder of the solution here. We have the folder of the project in here. We have all of our well-known files and folders. So for instance, you have the output folder, which is the bin debug folder here. In here, you have the compiled solution. We have access to the report, which we finally created just right a minute ago. So this is our project folder, which we will now need to commit and push through our version control through Git. And this is how we're going to do this. So first of all, we select the solution within the project file view. We right-click to open up the the context menu, and we choose commit here. So we have an integrated Git access. So we choose commit to select committing the first solution, and I call it the message. The commit message is Ranorex initial. Let's call it initial Ranorex solution commit. And down there we have the listed files which are synced using the Git, and there's something which I need to show you because this is very crucial when working with Azure DevOps or almost any other CI system. So the so-called SLN file, so which means this is the Visual Studio solution file, is not synced per default. So per default, this is a not version file, and so therefore it is not included. And if we do not include it here, if we do not change it here, then Azure DevOps has nothing to compile. Because as you know, Ranorex Studio is compiling the RxSLN file, which is a special Ranorex file, and Visual Studio, when used as a compiler, is compiling the SLN file. So this is something which we need to change. So we need to include it in here, and then we commit our Ranorex solution, and finally we push it, and there's nothing to do, just simply typing the OK button, and now we are pushing our current solution into our Git repository, our local repository, and there's a success message telling us that the initial commit has been performed successfully. So this is why I click close now. And yes, we could simply close Ranorex Studio now, so we don't need it for the moment, and step back to Azure DevOps, do a refresh here. And what you can see now is that we now have our Ranorex project within the repository of Azure DevOps. So we see it here. You even could step into it here. So we have the solution folder, we have the projects folder, and within the projects folder, we have a number of different files in here, which we also have in our regular project folder. But I would like to show you the difference now, because I'm opening up the Rx database solution folder and the projects folder. And what you can see here, so let me point that out. What you can see here in our regular projects folder in here, we have not only all of our necessary files, which are used for compiling and building the solution, but we also have our folders here. So we have the output folder here, the bin debug folder, the objects folder, we have a report folder. So once we step in here into the bin debug folder, then you can see that we have the reports folder here, but we also have here, for instance, the executable file. So the compiled solution is also here, which can be used to be run from a command line. On the other hand, if we have a look at our repository within Azure DevOps, you won't find any subfolder here. So there's no bin debug folder here. There's no reports folder in here. It's only the raw files, only the source code. There's no temporary files, no report files, nothing like that. It's only the raw files which can be used for compilation and execution. So this is the big difference between our project folder, which is locally stored on my computer, and the Azure DevOps project folder, which is within our Azure DevOps account. So regarding to this, yes, let me see what we have done. Yes, we have now created an Azure DevOps project, and we have created a Ranorex desktop solution. And now it's time to define an Azure DevOps pipeline, which means we are defining the activity chain from building our Ranorex solution within Azure DevOps until running the solution from within our CI system. So this is what we're going to do now. And yeah, this is how we're going to do that. First of all, we are using the pipelines here. So let me first close this here just to have a clean screen here and to show you what we're going to do now. So it's really straightforward. So first of all, we are creating a new pipeline, and I'm not using any prepared pipeline type here. I'm using the classic editor, and which gives me the chance to show you what I'm doing. So we are, let me use the spotlight to point that out. So we are using the Azure repos Git within our project. So we only have one project at the moment, so there's nothing to select here. Our repository is also only one repository, and we are including the complete master here for committing, and we click continue. And now we are choosing the a Ranorex solution, a test solution is nothing more or less than a .NET desktop solution. So we apply this, and this gives us the basic setting of our Azure DevOps pipeline. So what we are doing here now is we are now changing the name here. So it's my Rx database test. Let's skip the. So we are using an agent pool, but we are not using a hosted pool. So there's a number of different hosted agents. So we're using a private pool, the default pool here. And yes, finally, that's everything we need to define here for the moment. So we save this now and step into the next step. We now need to do a number of definitions and configurations for the agent job. So first of all, we need to change the build solution here. So what we're gonna do here is change the display name. So what is done here is build Ranorex solution. So within this, we're building the Ranorex solution, and somehow we need to change the platform here. So we need to change it to x86, 68, x68. So, and we're gonna save this now. So this is the first step. The second step then is, then we need to add something which executes. So this agent job here is responsible for building our Ranorex solution, so for compiling the Ranorex solution. Now we need an agent job, an activity to execute and run the compiled solution. So this is something which is not in here by default. We need to add it. So I add it as a task, and I'm searching for the command line. So this is what we're gonna add here. So we are having the command line script in here. Be assured that it's within the sequence here, that it's after building the solution, of course, because you cannot run it until it is not built. And yeah, here we are executing the Ranorex solution. And yes, we need to configure the command line script here now. So this is something which we need to do. So we need to replace this default name here by the script. So first of all, we need to assure that we are working in the correct working directory. So it's the system.default working directory. So this assures us that Azure DevOps is using the correct directory, and then we need to make use of our project folder here. So what we're gonna do here is we need to access the bin folder of our project here. So it's the solution, it's the project, and it's the bin folder. So this is something which I copy, and I copy it in here now. And then compared to our Ranorex project folder, it's not the debug folder where it is compiled to, but it's the release folder where it is compiled to. And then the name of our exe file is rx, it's the same, database test.exe. So this is the command line which is used by Azure DevOps to execute the previously compiled Ranorex solution. So again, we save this in here. So what we do here now is within our simple pipeline, in the first step, we build the Ranorex solution, which simplified means we compile the solution using Visual Studio, and finally we execute our Ranorex solution, which simplified means we are running it at command line and performing this command line script here. So this is what we're gonna do here, and we are almost done. So this is everything which needs to be done for a simple Azure DevOps pipeline. And what we now need is to run it. We now need to download, install, and configure an Azure agent. So this is the fourth step within this procedure. So first of all, we need to step into our project settings here. Here we have access to the agent pools, and this is where we, use the default. We have said we use the default, not a hosted agent, but a default agent, and we are using a new agent. I would like to show you how to do that. So first of all, we need to download. If you have not yet done that, you need to download an Azure DevOps agent. You can define the operating system here. So we're using Windows, we're using the x68 platform, and we download the agent to our downloads folder. So what you can see in the lower left corner is now that Ranorex is that is downloading the zip file of the agent, and we now have it within our downloads folder. So let me open up the downloads folder. All right, here, let's go to the downloads folder, and now we have it here. And what I do now is, what I'm gonna do now is, I now create a new folder here for the agent. So let's create a new folder, which I call Azure Agent. Yes. So, and now we're gonna copy our installation of the agent into this folder, and we extract all the files here. So we extract the Azure DevOps agent in here. It will last a couple of seconds until it is completely extracted. So we're almost done. Here we go. And what we have to do now is we now, of course, delete the zip file. We need to first configure the agent, and finally, we then need to run it. So first of all, let's configure our local agent here. This opens up a terminal window, and we can see all of the necessary configurations in here. So first of all, this is now is to answer a couple of questions. So first of all, we need the URL of the server. So this is up here in our address line of the Azure DevOps project. So this is this part here. So it's dev.azure.com/ and then your name. So this is my name, and this is what I'm gonna put in here. So this is the URL, and I hit the return key, and then it's necessary to to select the so-called personal access token authentication type. So it's simply hitting the return button for the PAT, and now we need to create a personal access token. So this is done very easily. Most of you already know that. So you need to open up the account menu and choose the security item here, and it's loading all of your tokens. So I have one token here, but I won't use it. So I'll show you how to generate a new token. So I'm creating a new token here, and I give it a name. So it's, let's call it my token, and you should give it a full access. So it's a limited 30-day expiration token with full access, and you simply hit the create button. And what you have now is you have a token with which has an expiration of 30 days, and this is very important, it's only shown once. So you need to copy it now because it's never shown again. Then you need to regenerate it. And so I copy it to my clipboard, and then I step into here, and I finally insert it here. Yeah, Jesus Christ, what did I do? I don't think this has been done correctly, so I copy it again. I step in here, and I insert it. Now we have it. So somehow it's a little bit tricky to work in a terminal window, but it works finally. So we have entered our personal access token and hit the return button. Now it's connecting to my server. And yes, the final questions are, first of all, we are using the default agent pool. So if you have a hosted agent pool, then you should enter its name here, but we have the default pool here. We have, yes, the agent's name is the default name is your machine name, which is fine for us. It's scanning for its tool capabilities, and finally ends up in the next question. Yeah, which, yes, if you have already installed, previously installed a server, then it's asking you to replace it. I will replace it now, of course. And so the agent connection is working fine. There's a working folder. The default folder name is _work, so which is also fine for us. Yes, then we have the question of running the agent as a service. It's important that you don't run it as a service, otherwise you won't be able to do as we want to do. And finally, yes, we would like to show it up at startup. So this is why we enter yes here. So if you expect any success message, yes, you screwed up, because in a terminal window you won't get that, but you could simply run, double click the run command, and then you will finally see that the Azure DevOps agent is started connecting to the server and is permanently now in the background listening for jobs, for pipeline jobs. So this is everything which we wanted to do for the moment. So one down, 3 to go. We now have defined an Azure DevOps pipeline. We have downloaded, installed, and configured the agent, and now we are building and running a Ranorex solution out of Azure DevOps. So this is the next thing I would like to show you. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go back to our project, into our Rx database. We're stepping into the pipeline. This is where we are. And now we are running the pipeline. So we are simply hitting the run button, and we can still recap what we have said. So it's the default agent pool, it's the Git repository which is taken into account, and this is all we want to do. So simply we hit the run button now, and what you can see now is that we're waiting for the request. So the agent is ready for the job. What you can see in the lower left corner is that the job is running now, and you can see here within the within our pipeline that Azure DevOps is now performing the pipeline activities. So first of all, it's initializing the job. It's it lasts a little bit for the first building. It will be yes, way quicker after the initial first start. So we need to wait for this now. So here you can see that the agent is running, and yeah, we are watching for Azure DevOps to download all the necessary packages and the files, and preparing the building of and the compiling of our Ranorex solution. So it's downloading now the nugget command package. And yes, I could talk for my life now, but it's nothing to do than to wait until Azure DevOps has performed all of the necessary steps here. So it's performing and executing one action after the other within our defined pipeline. You could see the blue icons indicating working in the pipeline. And yes, we have the initialization of the job in here. So we're still waiting for Azure DevOps to go on here and hopefully performing everything. Yes, it's downloading the Azure Studio build. Now the command line, it's going on, looks good. So it's downloading some test files necessary for building. And I guess we're almost done with the initialization of our pipeline. And soon we'll step over the compiling of our Ranorex solution. So I'm just seeing on my other screen that many of you occupied Thomas with your questions. So unfortunately, we need to wait for the initial test here. So there's nothing to come around it. So it's downloading the next task, and it's going on. So I guess it will be lasting about 1.5 up to 2 minutes for the first building, for the first run of the pipeline. So we see the initialization has been done successfully, and now you can see the different activities within our agent job, which means it's activities of the pipeline. So it's performing the NuGet package now, and performing. We are just about compiling the Ranorex solution. So now we are compiling the solution. You can see we are almost done now, and we are waiting now for starting the execution. So I will minimize our browser now so that you can see how Azure DevOps is executing the test solution. So we're waiting now for the test database to be opened. You can see it now here. So it's as if it would have been run within Ranorex Studio or on command line. So we are inserting now the person for our database, inserting the age. So it's executing our test case, adding, validating, and finally ending up. So what you can see is that now the application of test has been ended again. The run information of Ranorex Studio also has been ended. And once we open up now, we see that it's finally doing some finalization jobs. And what you can see now is here that we are done now. So the job has been ended. So job agent job 1 completed with result succeeded. And what you also can see is here that once I step into the pipeline, what you can see also here is that our initial Ranorex solution commit has been built successfully today. So this is today's date with the version number at the end, with the Git repository, and when it was queued and how long it lasted. So it lasted about 4.5 minutes. So this is, yes, how we successfully now build and run a Ranorex solution out of Azure DevOps using the using it as a CI tool. So we have done a lot of things already, and we are still 12 minutes to go. So let me finally show you how to deal with the Ranorex reporting, and finally how to deal with an automatic trigger of a CI pipeline. So this is left to show you, and this is what I would like to do. First of all, let's step into the pipeline, into the existing pipeline, by clicking the Edit button in the upper right corner here. And this gives us a chance to reconfigure the pipeline and add things which we would like to add. And first of all, we would like to publish build artifacts. So this is what deals with, at the end of all the actions here, at the end we can publish build artifacts. And what we would like to do is now we would like to prepare the Ranorex report, because the report is not visible within the project file yet. So if I open up the project folder, for instance, here you can see it, and I step into the solution folder and I step into the project folder, then you can see the reports file, and in here we have one report. But if you watch the date and the time, then you can see that it's the date from today, but the time is 10:21. So it's 10 a.m. and 21 minutes, and now we have 10:49. So this is not our current report, it's our initial report, which we created right in the test run after we created the test. So this is not our report, and this is why we would need to search for the report within the agent's working directory. So we have a working directory here, and we have a subdirectory here and a subdirectory there. And here we would find the report from 10:46 a.m. this morning. But this is rather complicated, and this is nothing we would like to deal with. So we would like to prepare Azure DevOps a report for us. So let's use this publish artifacts activity here, and we call it Ranorex report file. And yes, it's here, the working directory, which has to be changed. So the path where it needs to be built is our it's the system.default working directory, and then it's /reports/. Yes, so we have here the Ranorex test report, and we save it. Just to save some time, I also would like to show you and add a little bit of more information into our pipeline. So once you go into this pipeline now and just step into the pipeline here, then you see the summary in here, and you see the test in here, but there's no information, no useful information about the test itself, and that's why I would like to add a little bit of information into here. So again, I edit my pipeline, and I would like to use the so-called JUnit, Ranorex JUnit interface. So this is why we are adding a new activity, which is called publish test results. So we'll have it here. We have it. So if we would like to publish our test results, we use this one here. And so this is the Ranorex JUnit test result. And I'm changing here the name from test to XML. And yes, this is the working directories. So this is working fine. So I'm saving this now. And what I'm going to do now is I rerun the test, and I would like to show you how this works with the reporting now. So we run the test again, we run the pipeline, and you can see Ranorex, the the Azure DevOps agent is receiving the job, and you will see it's running far more quicker than it has been before. So I'm now, yes, you can see it's stepping through. Downloading the different packages is not necessary anymore because they're already downloaded and prepared. So it's already building the Ranorex solution now, which also goes very quickly. And now we are executing the Ranorex solution. I would like to minimize. I minimized the browser just to make sure that everything is working on the screen, and you can see it now. So the test is performing. So you can see it's inserting first name, last name, department, affiliation, sales, age 48, of male gender, adding it to the list, validating the counter, and finally ending up. So the test obviously has run successfully, and you can see it's gone a lot more quicker than it has been before. So it's now preparing the report file, as you can see, and it's also preparing the JUnit test result. And I would like to show you the effect now. So it's postponing the job. And what I have now is, once I go into it here, into the pipelines, you can see that it has done a second run here, and I go into the test now. And now when I step on the summary here, then first of all, I have access to my Ranorex test report here. So this is done by our first activity. So once I click here on the Ranorex test report, the report is downloaded, and I can watch it, I can share it, and I can do whatever I want to do with the Ranorex report. But what I also have is here, when I step into, when I step into here, then you can see I have the Ranorex test report here, but there also should have been something else. So when I step into these tests, no test runs are available for this build. There's gone something wrong in here. So it was the second one. Yes, it is. And it steps over here. There went something wrong with my configuration, because there should have been, if you step in here, then there should be a summary based on the JUnit interface. And I don't know, we have still 4 minutes left, so I would like to have a quick view on what we have done here so far. So it's the JUnit test result. There's something gone wrong here. So let me see. System default working directory. Yes. Oh, Jesus. Yes, I got it. Ha! Of course, there's only these settings here in the configuration, but I need to extend, of course, I need to extend my script here. I need to prepare my JUnit interface. So what I need to do now is, within my execution of my test solution, I need to add the JUnit interface. I also need to create a zipped report, and I also need to define the zipped report file, which is reports /report for build.rz log. So this is what I need to do, of course. I'm sorry, I was just a little bit confused now. So what I do now is I add these command line arguments to my command line script. So it's creating a JUnit interface, it's creating a zipped report, and the zipped report file, and the zipped report file is report for build. So this is what I save, and this is what I trigger now. So let's create another run. So I queue it and I run it. I would like to show that to you. It's really nice to see these summaries within Azure DevOps project account once the pipeline has been performed successfully. So we're waiting just for the pipeline being executed. You see it's going rather quick again. So there's nothing, it's already building the solution. So there's nothing which is magic or rocket science. So it's going rather quick once the first initial pipeline run is done. So we are already executing the solution. So we're expecting the application and the test to be started. And I may use a couple of minutes more than expected, but I guess you will understand that it's worth the time. So we can watch now the first name to be inserted and validated. So we are finished now. You can see the test run has been executed successfully. We are now publishing the JUnit file. We are building the JUnit file and the zipped report. You can see it's done rather quick now. And what I show you in a couple of seconds now is once it is done, so we have a checkout, we go into the pipeline, so we see that the third job has been finished successfully, and now we are stepping into the tests, and now you can see this. So this is what the JUnit interface does. It provides you a bit more graphical information about the test run, which is really nice for you to to do some analysis, quick analysis on this. And again, during the summary, you have access to the test report to download it. So what I am left to do is to show you just in a couple of 1.5 minutes how to automatically trigger a CI pipeline. So this is what is gonna left to do. So again, we step into the pipeline and we edit the pipeline. And again, we have some triggers up here. So we have a menu line up here. So we have a trigger here, and you can enable continuous integration. So this is everything you need to do. You need to check this enable continuous integration, and then you finally save it. We save it. Yes. And what we're going to do now is we minimize this. And now I show you how amazing this is, how to trigger changes in the project. So what I do now is I step into our projects folder and I'm double clicking my Ranorex solution now. So this is what I'm going to do. And we're waiting for Ranorex Studio to be open. I close this folder now. I don't need it. And we have the solution here. I step into the recording and let's define a new action. And yes, let's define a delay at the end for 2 seconds. And let's again, write something into the report at the end. So here, solution finished. So we have now changed something. It's not the must, but we have changed something. And what we do now is, first of all, we store it, we save all the local buffers, and then we need to commit it to our Azure DevOps project. So what I do now is I select the solution, I right click, I select commit, and now I do a first commit. So it's project update number 1. I have all the selected and affiliated files. I commit them. You can see those. They have been committed now. And now you should be watching as soon as I push. I need to push it now. But before I do that, please watch out here for the Azure DevOps agents window. So you can see that as soon as I push it, as soon as it is synced, then Azure DevOps recognizes this change in my Ranorex solution and starts a new pipeline, handling it over to the agent here. So watch out here. So I push it, and now I click OK. And what you can see now here is it's pushing up. And as soon as this is finished, you can see a new job being, here you can see it. A new job has been created now. So I can close my Ranorex Studio and I open up for my pipeline. And what I see here now is that I have an automatically started new pipeline with my project update number 1 here. So you can see it. It's updating a new pipeline, and you will see within a couple of seconds, you will find the project here. I can step into it, and you can see it's already building the solution. So you can see it's waiting for the console output, and it's compiling my solution. And as soon as this is done, yeah, you can see it. It's now performing the test again. So I can see it's inserting the name, the department affiliation, the age, and the gender. As you may remember, then we are waiting for 2 seconds after validation. Now we're waiting for 2 seconds, and finally we are gone. And so you can see with activating this automatic trigger of the CI pipeline, any change in our Ranorex solution triggers a new performance of the current pipeline, of the associated pipeline. So, well done, I would say. You can see our update has been performed successfully. And of course, again, we have access to our Ranorex test report in a zipped file. So, I'm 4 minutes overdue, so let me come to the summary. Yes, unfortunately, the user guide, the online user guide, is not yet completed concerning the Azure DevOps chapter, but we are working on it to finish it within the next two weeks. You will find the Mastery on Demand videos at ranorex.com automated testing webinars, and every one of you who has been registered for this webinar will receive a follow-up email including the video download link. So you can, there's no expiration date, there's nothing to pay for it. It's for free, so you can watch the video as long as you want to, as often as you want it. You can direct questions. Possibly you have no chance to ask all the questions during this webinar, so don't hesitate to write us at webinar@ranorex.com, and we will answer every single question right after it. My name is Andreas Außerhofer. I thank you very much for spending some time with me, for showing up. I hope to see you soon in one of our upcoming webinars. I wish you a great day. Thank you very much, and goodbye.